Read the Bible, ignorant. Okay, I will. Thank you. That's a very helpful suggestion. I'm sick of listening to your BS, mate. True Christian, don't believe all the lies your channel spreads. You are the Antichrist, not Trump. People that follow him are hardnecks with very limited intelligence, live in poverty or evil ambitions, persons who think he the answer to their ambitions. Okay. When you die, you will face our Father, Jesus Christ, and I'm sure he will show you the evils you spread with this narrow and misleading information on Christian faith. Well, Mary Mitchell, 5675, it sounds like you're saying two different things. You're at first not liking the idea I'm talking about Trump being the Antichrist, and then in the middle there you're kind of denigrating Trump supporters. All I can say is check the Bible and see if the descriptions of the Antichrist match Trump, which they do, and then maybe you'll have a change of heart. And by the way, Jesus Christ is not our Father. Those are two different eternal beings. PPP, Trump is hated by the most devilish of us, which is much more than half of the world, while all the world's leaders respect King Charles, who has yet to be possessed by the devil. By this idiot's logic, Rush Limbaugh was the AC. Well, once again, with the King Charles nonsense, at some point I do hope to do a video about King Charles. I'm backed up with a couple of videos right now, but I hope to get to that soon. Family crests are not a good way to determine if someone is the Antichrist. There have been tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of family crests down through the centuries that have very similar imagery as to what King Charles has on his. You'll see lions and various beasts and horns and all these things. King Charles simply doesn't line up with how the Bible describes the Antichrist. And by the way, whether or not Trump is hated has nothing to do with whether he matches the biblical Antichrist. Two different things there, friend. While you're stretching so far 1,000,000 miles, here say diatribes of hate. How much are you getting paid? Well, funny you should ask that, John. I get paid a lot of money. I get paid roughly $2,000 a day to make these exceptional videos about Trump being the Antichrist. So with that $2,000 a day, I generally reinvest in Truth Social stock. I hope that turns out to be a wise investment. I'm getting a little nervous right now, but we'll see how that goes. Every one of these points also applies to Joe Biden, 100%. That is not true in the least. Biden is a mismatch for a number of biblical descriptions for the Antichrist, anywhere from being beloved in Israel or beloved within the Christian church to having the mouth of a lion. Biden can barely string a couple sentences together, to things like being obsessed with gold, having a Middle East covenant, on and on. These things match Trump, not Biden or Obama or any of these other people. Please tell me who you're going to vote for, or are you simply not voting? Which evil? You're so on the hate Trump path, but you never even offer options to correct the situation we are in. No, that's true. None of my videos suggest voting for anyone else because I'm not really looking for any of these people to save America, quote unquote, or save the world. And the Bible does not tell us to choose the lesser of two evils. Go, Putin, go. Drop a multi-megaton wallop on Biden lovers. Well, friend, I suggest canceling whatever your plans were for today and immediately go see psychiatric help. I am a spirit-filled Christian. I read the Word of God because man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. I saw 4 years of Donald Trump as president, and the fruit he produced was good. I've seen 3 years of Biden, and he brought America to the brink of financial collapse. The only thing going for Biden is that he isn't the Antichrist. Well, here's the mistake you're making here, Nick. The Bible's lesson on good fruit and bad fruit is not referring to the things of this world. It's not about gas prices being lower or immigration policy or anything else that you approved of while Trump was in office. You're looking at things of this world as a definition of good and bad fruit, and that's simply the opposite of what the Bible teaches us. It's all about spiritual fruit. This is a bunch of garbage. The Bible states that the Antichrist is of Middle Eastern descent. People twist things around to fit their narrative. I'm not buying this garbage. Actually, I don't think any of us should buy garbage. So you made a wise decision there. But to clarify, this is not garbage, friend. The videos point out that Trump lines up with how the Bible describes the Antichrist. And you may not want to hear that right now, but hopefully you will come to a point when you're a little more open to that possibility. The Bible does not state that the Antichrist is of Middle Eastern descent. Rather, the Antichrist comes from the fourth beast of Daniel, which is the Roman Empire. No, Trump isn't the man of perdition, but pray that you follow Jesus Christ more than trying to find out who the Antichrist is. This kind of comment is on a lot of my videos, the idea that we shouldn't even worry about the Antichrist, we should only worry about Jesus Christ. But the truth is that two things are possible at the same time. It's not an either-or option. It is possible to both follow Jesus Christ and pay attention to how the Bible describes the Antichrist. The stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Going to have to ban this channel. Well, that's quite an accomplishment. The stupidest thing you have heard in your entire life? Wow. I'm thinking back on the many years that I've lived. I can't imagine one stupid thing standing out above all the others, but I must have made quite an impression on you there, friend. This is dangerous. Nothing has happened that identifies anyone as being the Antichrist. You will not have to reveal it on YouTube. When he makes himself known, he will be plain enough. I hope Donald Trump sues you. There are a lot of comments about people hoping that Trump sues me. And when I read these kind of comments, I'm reminded of that story from, I believe, the late 90s. There was a photographer or a website that had various pictures of houses along the West Coast. And I might be misremembering that. Maybe someone can correct me in the comments below. One of the pictures of a house he had was that of Barbra Streisand. And Streisand sued either the photographer or the website to remove the images of her house. And there's a famous saying coming out of that called the Streisand effect. And the reason it's called that is because prior to Streisand taking action to remove those images of her property, very few people actually saw the images of her property. It wasn't really well known. The pictures were on a website, and I think the website only had a handful of visitors each month. But once Streisand sued to remove them, suddenly there were tens of thousands of visits to that website. And many, many, many people started finding out where her property was, what it looked like after she sued. She brought attention to it. It's called the Streisand effect. So if and when Donald Trump sues others for referring to him as the Antichrist, I guess we'll call it the Trump effect. This is bologna. Now, on the last video I did about Trump supporter comments, there was a reference to a Democratic bologna. And we have another reference to bologna. And I think this is a sign I have to go out and get some bologna and some mustard and some, I don't know, maybe potato bread? Either yellow mustard or hot mustard. And a loaf of potato bread and half pound of bologna. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit. Let's get back on track. This is TDS at its finest. At its finest, I tell you. Well, thank you. That's quite a compliment. I mean, there are millions and millions of people that have TDS in the country, and I did it better than any of them. So, thank you very much. Just another Trump hater. No, I don't hate Trump, but I do know that Trump and Trump supporters sure hate those who criticize Trump. You are the Antichrist. At some point, I'm probably going to have to do an investigative video on whether I am the Antichrist, because there have been several people who are of that opinion, so where there's smoke, there's fire. I got to start looking into this. This is effing crazy BS video. It could be anyone and could be any politician. The Bible never states the Antichrist come from America. If you believe this, you are not good Christians. That's quite a statement at the end. If you even think that Trump could be the Antichrist, you're not a good Christian. That's amazing. No, it's not true that anyone could match the biblical descriptions of the Antichrist. The whole point of Trump matching the biblical descriptions for the Antichrist is that he's head and shoulders above anyone else. There are other people who match some of the biblical descriptions. Trump matches them all. I really want to believe that you, Antichrist 45, are a God-fearing, Bible-believing person, but the way you dishonor this man, this modern-day Cyrus, Isaiah 45, God is using to lead his America is absolutely despicable and sinister. I had a reason for not including this person's screen name. I forget what that is. But this particular comment is silly. I don't know any other word to describe it. A lot of Christians do think that Trump is Cyrus because of Isaiah 45, and Trump was the 45th president, and they see that as somehow a sign from God, I guess, that Trump is Cyrus. That's just silly, and I'm not dishonoring Trump. I think Trump is actually dishonoring himself. Pray for this brother Paul, doing a lot of attempted damage, judgment in on which judgment day will easily be hell's bound for brother Paul. He'll be repair indeed, as God says he'll unleash wrath on so-called brother, LOL Paul. Well, that's some very kind words you have for me. Thank you, Jeanette. I don't really know how to respond, so I'm just going to say, may God bless you too. Oh, here's another one from her. No, Brother Paul, your intentions weren't and aren't never good. I'll end with that. And don't bother responding, as I won't read or review or view your garbage and pure trash. Oh, have a happy Judgment Day, Paulie. You seem perfectly normal there, friend. I mean, I get some crazy comments from time to time, but not yours. Yours is... Your comment is one of the most purely normal comments I've read in like a half hour, I think. The Lord rebuke you. Remember, whoever you are on this channel, 1 John 2:22, who is the liar? It is whoever denies that Jesus is the Christ. Such person is the Antichrist, denying the Father and the Son. Matthew 12, the unpardonable sin. Therefore I say to you, and I won't read the rest of that verse. It's funny that you post 1 John 2:22 because Donald Trump specifically denied the Father and the Son when he said he didn't need God's forgiveness. He is denying the Father by saying he doesn't need forgiveness, and he is denying the Son by saying he doesn't need a Savior from those sins. So when you do read 1 John 2:22 the next time, think of Mr. Donald J. Trump. And finally, we have, this is the most moronic YouTube site out there. Please stop pretending to be a Christian. This is really sad. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say I have the most moronic YouTube site out there, because let's face it, there are a lot of moronic YouTube sites, but I have the one that's the most moronic. So I'm going to accept the trophy for most moronic YouTube site for 2024. And thank you for nominating me, Dennis. And thank you to and thank you to everyone else for taking a few minutes to watch this video. I will talk to you guys soon.